Here's what the goal is in everything we do. Everything, whether it's going to be a social media post, a phone call, a face-to-face, business cards, videos, our goal is to get ideal clients, to get elite clients. Besides that, everything is nothing. But today, I really want us, and if you all would think about it, the last video we did last week, or the meeting last week, and I recorded it and shared the playback with you all, it was really talking about this whole idea of how do we get people to be attracted to us. And so this is what is important for us, because the last one, it was coming from the class that I took with Michael LaFido from the Lux and the framework that we should use. I know that I was talking to Charles, and his big focus has been Daniel Priestley's chaos, right? The concept, audience, offer, and sales. And so today, what I really want us thinking about is the process to attract, right? What process are we using to attract what I call our elite client or our ideal client? Do we have a process? And so what I want you all to think about, as I think about it as well, is that if we have the right process to attract the right people, then everything else is easier. And here's what I know after conversations. I know I've spoken to lenders, title companies, I've spoken to other agents, I've spoken to association executives, and they're saying that it is tough right now. And I want to say that for you all to understand, but it's not to let us off the hook. So, as Les Brown would say, when life is hard, you do it hard. So, if the market is hard, if the industry or times are challenging, then we must rise to the challenge and we must do our part. And here's how we do that. One of the things that, as I've been looking at, how do I get in front of the right people? How do we find and attract our elite clients? Is this whole idea of don't create and wait. And here's what I have been guilty of. I have been guilty of creating material content, programs, real estate processes, and then waiting, right? I relied on social media, or I got to the point where I was relying on passive word of mouth instead of picking up the phone and calling, instead of writing the note cards. What helped me be successful, instead of getting face to face with people on a consistent basis. And this is where you all know me. I'm going to go back to, are we being aggressive? Now, not disrespectfully aggressive, but are we playing offense so that we can generate the leads, the appointments, the presentations, and the sales that we want? Because here's what the goal is in everything we do. Everything, whether it's going to be a social media post, a phone call, a face-to-face, business cards, videos, our goal is to get ideal clients, to get elite clients. Besides that, everything is nothing. So we want to get the client so that we can then get the sale. And so this is what we're going to look at just a little bit here today. And so there's this thing called with or without you energy, right? So with or without you. And I think that's one thing that many of us need to improve upon, is that with or without you energy, and not in a disrespectful or arrogant type of way. Like, I'm going to succeed with or without you, but it goes back to the SW, 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 right? So some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Okay, so some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And that means that we're going to ask. And last week, I mentioned that we're going to be empathetic and authentic, but we're also going to be forthright, right? We're going to be upfront with them. We're going to be direct. And so with that, with or without you energy, as we go through Q2 into Q3, I really want us thinking about building the process to attract elite clients and then keep that energy. And here's something that I heard. It says that personalization is the best way to attract high quality clients consistently. And so this is where I want to ask you, have you, or how are we personalizing our services? How are we personalizing our offering to our elite client, or are we not? Is it one size fits all? What you get is what you get. I don't believe that we're doing that. So we want to have processes and systems, but we also want to be able to personalize it to our high value, high quality elite client. And that's how we're going to get some or get consistent leads coming in. And here's what one of my coaches shared with me 2 weeks ago. He said that people will follow us for value, they will opt in for guidance, but they buy if I can clearly explain the payoff. So this is not just on social media, this is also in real life. When we're talking about our real estate clients, they follow us for value, right? Because they see something in us that allows them to say, I think that her information is valuable. I think that he is valuable. They opt in for guidance. They raise their hand and say, yes, send me the buyer or seller tips. Yes, send me information on the market because I need guidance. But here's where we don't want them to follow or opt in only. We want them to buy. And they buy only if we can clearly explain the payoff of them working with us. So here's what I believe we are great at. I believe we know the home buying and home selling process better than everyone around us. That's just my personal belief. I believe that all of us can improve on clearly explaining the payoff of them working with us. And so, whether I'm coaching or teaching, or if I'm doing consultations myself, I have to always answer this question: why should you hire me? Why should you hire me? Why should they work with me? If we cannot clearly explain the payoff, then guess what? We probably shouldn't be hired anyway. So we want them to follow us for value, opt in for guidance, but we really want them to buy because we can clearly explain the payoff. And then the next thing my coach gave me, I believe there are 5 things that he really shared with me to help me on this journey. So I'm not telling you all anything that I'm not walking through or going through myself, but he said that elite clients need trust more than they need training. And I know we are here to educate, we're here to train, we're here to hold the hands, but he said elite clients need trust more than they need training. It needs to be personalized. We need to showcase our experience, and then we must be results driven. And so 74% say that trust is a critical factor in purchasing services. And establishing trust in the shortest amount of time is important. So this is where I want to remind us of how we establish trust in a short amount of time. One is going to be social proof. We must leverage social proof. I was talking to wife this morning about me promoting myself and pushing myself. This week, a big part of my agenda and my schedule is to get social proof, meaning I am reaching out to many of my past clients and raving fans, and I am asking for updated video testimonials because end of week, I want to put together an entire video testimonial reel so that I can tell people you should trust me, not because I say I'm good, but because people who have experienced the same thing that you're going through, someone that looks or sounds like you, someone that you can identify with, they have trusted me. The next thing I'm going to encourage you all to do to cut down that trust building time is, you all know, Canvas Rebel. Shout out MIA, and then shout out Miami, and then Voyage MIA. I'm encouraging us to continue to submit our names for nominations for articles. I have one that I am behind on that will be done this week so that I can continue to have material that shows that I am an authority in my space. And I would encourage you all to do that. And here's what we know. We know that they always need new stories, new contributors, because they're sending me 1 or 2 emails every week. So I'm going to encourage you all, please consider that, because if you do, then it's going to help us gain the trust of our elite clients much faster. Elite clients value speed and convenience over cost. Now, that doesn't mean that we can overcharge or we can be priced out of this world, but it does mean that if we position ourselves and if we communicate clearly what the payoff is for working with us, then our elite clients value speed and convenience more so than simply the dollar amount. 65% of high net worth clients are comfortable paying more to receive premium services. And so this is where we must honestly answer the question, do we offer premium service? If we offer mediocre service, we should charge mediocre prices. However, if we offer premium services and then we have a process to follow, if we have built in that trust factor, knowing that trust is more important than training, then we get to charge premium prices. Elite clients want personalized advice and guidance. 68% of consumers expect personalization. And so here's the advice that my coach gave me. He said, listen first, advise second. Listen first, advise second. And this is where we've heard numerous times, probably thousands of times, about the doctor analogy, that the doctor doesn't write a prescription before they go in and do a thorough consultation. So we want to listen first and then advise second. So when someone comes in and asks us, well, how much is it to work with you? Do we just tell them exactly what our commission rate is? Or do we say, well, I found that talking about commission before I know exactly what your needs are is unfair to you, and I want to be able to offer you the best service, right? And so we know that since everything is negotiable, we can have a legitimate way to push that conversation off until we have listened to their needs. And don't forget that if we have speed and convenience, elite clients, they are willing to pay more for great service and premium service. And then we need a filtering process to identify the most elite prospects, because we don't want to be wasting our time spinning our wheels on people who cannot buy, who will not buy, who have no desire to purchase from us, who are simply using us. This goes back to that some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. But it also goes to Myron Golden's tell me yes, tell me no, but tell me now, I got to go, right? And so we want to make sure that we have a filtering process. So what is that like for you? For me, it is when a lead comes in, I'm sending them a one-off video thanking them, and then I am going to ask them to schedule a consultation via my online booking app, right? That's how I filter them through. So you may want to do something different, but we do want to have a process so that we know that we are working with qualified, motivated people. If someone sends me, hey, I'm interested in buying a property. I got a realtor.com lead over the weekend. I'm interested in buying a property. I would like to communicate with you. I'll give you the details later. I simply sent a video back to the email. Hey, great. Please complete this form, fill out a time for a consultation, and I haven't heard anything back. Now, that might not be the process for you, but I know for me, it allows me to filter in. And then finally, it says follow a repeatable sales formula that works. Send everyone through the same sales funnel. And so this is where in our At Home with Diversity, we call it the equal professional service model. So we want everyone going through the same process so that it is repeatable, so that eventually we are not doing that part. We can outsource that if necessary, but we want to have it so that everyone gets the same experience. Because I want when someone calls my phone, they know exactly the greeting that they're going to get. When I receive a lead online, I know what I'm going to do. If I'm speaking to someone, I know that I'm going to run them through that LP Mama, location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment, right? So we want to have that equal professional service model, or at least that formula to run them through the same thing every single time. And so here I have a matrix that I have been working on. And the idea is to no, we'll cover that matrix another time because I have a visual that I'll share with us next time. But here's what it says when it talks about sales, right? So I was going through and doing some research and looking to see how much time are companies spending on sales training, how much time are they spending building the right processes, doing things like this. But there's a reminder that I have here in my journal. It says that sales is a profession, which means that if we want to excel at this, we need to be professionals, right? Professionals. And so Apple does 40 minutes a day of sales training, right? So Apple, before you get on the floor, the first 40 minutes you're doing sales training. Sales professionals don't have chit chat, which means that even in our catch up conversation or our follow-up conversation, we have a goal, we have a purpose, we have a desired outcome, and then we know whether or not we achieve that outcome. So if you're meeting with someone today and they walk up, do you know what your goal is for, or your outcome is for that conversation? And then when we partner logic plus emotion plus urgency, we get a desired outcome. Logic, emotion, urgency. We can't have two of the three. We can't have one of the three. We need logic, emotion, and urgency. If we've done that, then we are on the pathway to a sale. And that's what we must do. Now, you all have heard me talk about Daniel Priestley a number of times, but we track different things. So we go from leads. So we go leads, consultation, leads, appointments, consultations, all of this, right? So what Daniel Priestley calls it, he calls it laps. So leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. Leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. So instead of consultations, he calls it presentations. And then instead of sales, we would say pending and then closed. But leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. So here's what our goal is for this week. I really want us to start tracking our laps, leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. Number one, most important part of the sales business is lead generation. How many leads are we generating each week? Many of us, we just don't have enough leads to support our financial goals or our sales goals. So we must generate more leads. How are you going to generate leads? Maybe it's going to be social. Maybe it's going to be pay per click. Maybe you're going to be out networking. But we must get the lead so we have the appointment so we can do the consultations or presentations, which are going to lead to the sale. And remember, all of that works faster if we can establish credibility and then create trust with our client base. They follow us for value. They opt in for the guidance, and then they buy if we can clearly explain the payoff. So we want to make sure that we have value, that we're giving guidance, but then that we're able to clearly communicate. So this week, especially going into Memorial Day weekend and then Memorial Day week, let's really track our laps, see how many leads, appointments, presentations, and sales, which would be for us going under contract. If we track the right key metrics, I believe that great things are going to come as a result of it. And then that's what I have. Anyone have anything? And here's the key. The key is showing up consistently. So if we're going to track our laps, we must do this day in, day out, week in, week out for weeks, months, quarters at a time. Because if we are consistent, the results are going to come. We just have to be consistent, even when we don't feel like it. Getting up, generating leads, lead generation, number one most valuable skill, most valuable practice in our sales business. So let's make sure that we're keeping that with or without you energy, that we know the SW times 4, and then that we really are creating a process that's going to attract the elite clients. And this goes back to the key person of influence. If we attract the right people, if we are the right person, the business will come to us. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it will be easier than us going out and chasing the business. So I really want us thinking about what are we going to do? How are we going to go about creating this brand, creating a business so that elite clients, those that we desire to work with, so that they are coming to us?